what's up everybody? It's Omar. It is March 27th, 2019, 7:56 p.m. and I'm going to make a video talk about my watch list and my play for today. AMD. Oh man, I had such a beautiful trade on AMD short. And I bought a dip, a quick spike, and then I took a loss on CRON. AMD, you know, in the room, it was interesting because everybody was looking at like different things this morning, which was pretty interesting. Which is one of the things I appreciate about everybody in the room, is that they're not just looking for me to tell them what to do. They learn the strategy and then they just adopt and do their thing, which is really, really cool. And I've been telling you every day that AMD, what it does is, it pops at the open and then it just continues to tank, right? It's been on this downward trend. This is the 180-day moving average. I like to have it on the 15-minute time frame. It kind of tells me where direction the stock is in, and there's no guarantees in anything, but generally when it's below the 15-minute 180-day moving average, simple moving average, it's telling me that it's on a bearish trend. And you can see that it was on this bullish trend and now it's in this bearish trend. Doesn't mean that it can't pop and run, but I think AMD is heading for some pain. I think the entire market is heading for a lot of pain. That's just my personal opinion. And sure enough, when the market opened, you got the little pop right into this first candle, and then right into this candle, right when I went short. I got executed at 25.74. I was risking this. I had my overhead resistance. We mapped these lines yesterday. I was gonna risk off the 25.94. I saw it couldn't get there because sometimes it'll like do that and then it rips and then it hits one of these and then it tanks. So I was a little nervous, and I was trading off a 13-inch laptop on Wi-Fi. I was pretty nervous that it was gonna like crash on me, but to my luck and everything, it worked out in my favor, and I banked on this. So me and another good buddy of mine in the room, who's a full-time trader, by the way, we took AMD down. And I had a feeling that because of the massive selling pressure, my first potential target was, my original target was to get out here, 25.47, because this was an area of support, but it just blew. I had my finger on the trigger just in case, but it just blew past it. So I was like, shit, this shit is gonna fucking tank. And all I did was, for me, I just pulled up the chart, on the bigger time frame, and I said, all right, well, let me go back further because you can't see it here. See if I can see it here. Yeah, so I said, all right, what's the next area of support? And I was like, man, this thing is gonna head down to at a minimum of 24.85. And then potentially, I said, I was telling the room that it's probably gonna retest this 24, 24, what was the low of this, 24.49 level. And sure enough, you can see that it got to this 24, about close to it, and it bounced. So I took it short. I actually covered right in here, this wick, when it started getting bought up. I actually covered in here, and I went long right here at 20. And let me just pull up the 2-minute chart, and I actually wrote it in the room what was my price target when I went long. Some people went short, and it was funny because some people went short and I went long. But let's see where it was. So I want to say right in here is where I went long, and my price target was right here. I said 27.09. So what I did was, when I went long, I actually had my order already ready to get filled. I think at like 25.07, I think I had it set, and I got filled. So I knew, because when you get a massive tank like this, you always get a bounce, and you see it formed a lower high, and then it went much higher. But I didn't even take that trade. I got in here, and I got in the 24.90. 25.2 range, and I got out right here when I went long at like 25.07, and I had my order set already here. And then it pulled back from that higher low, and then, you know, we went back up, and then, you know, it tanked some more, and now it's sideways. And tomorrow this will be on my watch list for sure. I mean, the volatility's been there. Why stop? You know, why stop trading it? So, you know, I have my lines mapped for tomorrow. Obviously, you know, this is a key area here. I didn't map it, but let me look at it now. So I would, right, this is where I originally had mapped, because, you know, this was an area of resistance because of where it bounced, but it didn't even get that high. So, you know, I would still leave that line there just cause, and just look at these as well, just in case. But I'll map this, and we'll see what happens. I think tomorrow we get a spike into one of these areas, and then, you know, you got a lot of bag holders, and I think you probably get more fade, you know. So let's see what happens tomorrow. You know, but I just want to show you something. CRON, I had mapped, these are the lines that I mapped for today, and I said CRON was gonna fade too, pop and fade. I had the lines, and you saw that I mapped these yesterday. It got near, it popped right at the open. It got to a high of 1992 and then tanked. You know, it didn't even alert me, but there was no way I was gonna even try to attempt to take 2 trades on a 13-inch laptop with shitty Wi-Fi and get caught and lose the Wi-Fi. Who knows that, you know, what could have happened. So, but look where CRON bounced. Go watch the video yesterday. This is where it bounced. All right, this is where I mapped my lines. All right, so look when it popped up. Look where it bounced off. These were the lines that I mapped yesterday. All right, just to show you how support and resistance works. All right, you know, just to show you how support and resistance works. So tomorrow, what I expect is it's going to consolidate, it's going to pop up, and it's going to, you know, get into one of these levels and get rejected and keep heading downward. I mean, if you look on the yearly, you know, for 1 year, it's heading on a downward trend. I mean, this was the last time it got this low. It got as far on a pullback. From its peak, it got about here, and then it, you know, gapped up from a higher low. Now it's showing lower lows. So I think, personally, it's heading at a minimum back to 1531. That's my guess. You know, it's this stock shouldn't be this high, and we, believe it or not, is a bubble that people are just they're not aware of. But without going into every other stock, and some of these I put on, but they weren't. GBLS was a stock that I had put on the watch list. Look at how it reacted. Popped, couldn't hold, fade. And what did I say? GBLS, CTRM were all sympathy of shit. What was I had the stock here, and I took it off of the main stock that was T12 halted. Shit, I don't even remember the fucking name right now. But you guys know what I'm talking about. You guys watched the video, and that stock got T12 halted. So I said wherever that stock would go, all these other stocks go. And because that stock got halted, everything collapsed. Look, GBLS, CTRM, they all collapsed. And look how they bounced, literally right off the lines that I mapped. All right, you know. So, you know, you see people on Twitter now, you know, taking credit for all this shit, but I've been doing this for 2 years now. You can go see the videos. Look at DCAR. I talked about that, right? When a stock tanks, you get a pop and you get a fade. So look what happened. Morning spike right into resistance, and then it tanked. This is exactly what I said would happen in the video. You know, go watch yesterday's video. It's exactly what I said would happen. So, and it happened exactly like I called it. You know, so ADLX didn't really do anything. I mean, it did pop, and then it faded more. So it did pop, and then you could have got, it doesn't look like it, but you could have got 50 cents of downside had you shorted the pop. But you know, it was choppy and whatever. And then GSVC, look what happened at the open. Look, bounced right off my lines. You know, bounced right into overhead resistance, and then just faded. And you could have took this short. Nobody was paying attention to the stock. And it went from 812 all the way down to 760, you know, and it had the volume there, you know, and look, literally bounced off like right, what was this? What was the low of here? 772. I had 761 mapped. So, you know, it was pretty close. And then it bounced, you know. So it's still holding up. That means this potentially could go higher. I didn't put it on the watch list, but you may want to put it on yours. It might be ready to go past 8:30 tomorrow. And then I had ATOS. These were the lines that I mapped, and you know, it spiked right into this resistance. I had mapped this, I didn't map this, but you can see it grabbed right into the resistance and it faded some more. This strategy, I've been telling you guys, with these, you know, low float shitty stocks, when they you know, have this massive run and then they close red, you always get a spike into resistance and then a fade. This is the pattern that Dux and Gritani make a shit ton of money trade, and me too. You know, when I can short them, when I have the shares on E-Trade. Otherwise, I miss out on them. And then SHIB. This was also another stock that I had mapped. Look what happened. Look at the lines I mapped. You know, it got up right to the morning spike, and then you could have just went short here. And look at this. It broke down, found support here, gapped up, couldn't. This is the previous day's close price, was held as resistance, and then faded. You know, it's shitty. It's done, and I think they're done for tomorrow. So in terms of tomorrow's watch list, let me just pull it up. So I'll try to go through this really quick. AMD, I mapped my lines. You can see again tomorrow, you know, who knows? I think the market, we're in for a lot of pain. I do not see AMD getting back up to $28, but anything is fucking possible. But you can see it is consolidating, so my expectation that, you know, at pre-market it'll start moving up right at the open. It'll come here, probably test one of these areas, maybe 25.39 or 25.47, and then just continue to fade. And I'll be looking to short it if I can trade tomorrow. I'm not sure if I can trade. But you see you have your areas below. Let me pull up the bigger chart. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's harder to see on that smaller chart, but you see I mapped my lines below, all right, and my lines above, all right. So remember, all you do is, you know, you can go back on a bigger time frame, and then you just look at the pivot lines and you map those lines. That's all it is, guys. It's not rocket science. Next up, AVEO. I put AVEO because, you know, it's a stock that ripped and held its highs. You know, I don't know what the potential is for tomorrow. More than likely this stock is going to go back to nothing. There's probably some news that made it move. I have no clue. You can just look at the filings and look at, you know, the news to see, but you know, it went from 55 cents to $1.05. Nice move. You know, 45% move, which is pretty incredible. And you know, now it's consolidating, so we'll see. So, you know, if it breaks 105 and pulls back and holds, take it long. It may get the volume. Maybe tomorrow everybody's looking at this because, you know, the market's been kind of dead. It hasn't, you know, in terms of the low float, you know, the low price stocks, it hasn't been, you know, sexy this week. So you know, so you go back on a bigger time frame and see what's above. Now what's interesting about this stock is that, you know, all this is bag holders all the way up. So you know, potentially it could fill the gap, and filling the gap would mean it would get back to 178. You know, but what happens is, because all these guys are here got caught long, they're freaking out. So they're trying to, you know, more than likely they're gonna try and hold it till it gets back here, and then this shit will collapse because everybody will sell once it gets up here. But some people may be freaking out and be like, yo, I'm not gonna take the chance, and they may sell into the spike tomorrow, and then this should collapse. So I don't think it's gonna get back up, but you know, it's just something to keep an eye out on. But you know, let's say it sells off at the open, maybe it comes back down to one of these levels, like let's say the 76, and it panics, and then you can dip by it and just take a nice little momentum bounce by. So you know, just keep an eye on it. Next up, CRON again, I think like AMD and all these wheat stocks, you know, they're just gonna continue to go down in price. That's my guess. You know, CRON, I missed that opportunity today, but that's okay. I did very well with AMD. I actually tried to dip buy CRON, and I got fucking killed. But I didn't. Thank God, I had very little size. I tried to dip buy CRON. Let me pull up. Where did I try to dip buy it? So I saw the momentum shifting. Where was it? I'm trying to remember, where did I catch it? I think I was risking off this level here. Yeah, I think this is what happened. I think it was I felt like the momentum could potentially shift, so I went long like here, and it started going up, and I was like, all right, and then I was like, I'm gonna hold, I'm gonna risk off 1850 because you know, I didn't have a lot of size. And sure enough, it just fucking dumped. And then, you know, I had a stop set at 1850, and it got triggered. I got like executed like at 1844 or something like that. So I took a loss there. of like, I don't know, 40 cents or something like that. I got killed on that one, but I didn't go. I only had like 1,000 shares. I didn't have a lot of shares, so I took like a $400 loss on that. So it wasn't a big deal, but that was CRON. So but tomorrow, what I'll be looking to see is it gonna pop into one of these overhead levels, and then I'm gonna short. So if it spikes, I'm gonna short a spike, and I'm gonna be try to short pops. I think again it's at a minimum it's heading back to $15. Next up, AMRN, the fish oil bullshit. I don't know what caused this to move, but it had to be some sort of news. Now AMRN gets a lot of range. When it gets news, it can move. You know, right now it's moving after hours. It's still moving. Is people still buying this? No. It's at 1906. And you know, if we go back on a bigger time frame, let's go back 180 days. You know, this is a stock that went from 26 down to 11, then back up to 23, and you know, it's been forming lower lows, and then it had this pop today. So I don't know what it is, but it has so much overhead resistance that, you know, I can't see it going too high without a nice fade. So I'd be looking to see what happens. You know, pre-market, this can, you know, move down a lot. Maybe it breaks back below 18 because there's some bullshit news pops and then gets rejected this level. So I have my levels mapped, as you can see. This is a pivot point. All right, this is a pivot point. I didn't map this, so I'm just these are lines that I had mapped previously. But you know what you can do is, like, you can go 180 days if you want, and then see where the pivot points were, and you can use those lines. You know, if you want to go like 90 days and 15 minutes, you can do that as well. You know, and see that's where these lines are from. See, the 90-day, 15-minute time frame. That's where these lines were mapped from previously. All right, so let me put like support here, and I'll leave it like that, and we'll see where this heads tomorrow. Next up, FNMA. These OTCs, this is a shitty stock, but when they break out, they can really run. That's why I have it on watch. It's heading towards its yearly high. Let me pull up the big chart. Oops, sorry guys. Let me pull up the big chart. So you know, this is the yearly high, and you know it's you know, it's holding, it's forming. As you can see, or it got off its high, it went down to 210, but it's been, you know, consolidating, and now it looks like it's ready to push higher. So watch it, because these things, as shitty as they are, they can run, but you know, maybe it comes up here and then it just fades, and you could take a nice short tomorrow. So that's why we're looking to see. Remember, don't buy the breakout, let it break, pull back, hold, and then buy. That's always the rule of thumb. Twitter, I think Twitter's heading down too. You know, with all these tech stocks, they're just all overpriced, and you know, the company CEOs are just buying back shares, and that's why these stocks haven't plummeted. And as you can see in my little, you know, this is my little thing. You know, it's no, you know, I back tested it, and you know, it seems to be somewhat, you know, pretty resourceful. But now it's in a bearish trend, and you can see that pretty much in this entire time frame, it's been in a bullish trend. And this is, I don't know how many days. Let's see. This is what, 15 days. You know, it's been in this bullish trend. All right, and now it just had a red day. It doesn't mean that tomorrow it doesn't keep going and running, but I think Twitter's gonna give back more tomorrow. That's just my guess. These are the lines that I've mapped. Let's just pull 5-day, 5-minute time frame. So you can see it had this morning spike right into this level, and then it just faded and it bounced off this key support level, and now it's consolidating. So tomorrow I would see, you know, there's a lot of resistance right in here. As you can see, there's a lot of resistance here. So we'll see if it can break this level and then maybe push up to the next resistance point, which would be 30. I have 3272 mapped. So you know, you probably push into one of these levels and then continue to fade, but we'll see. And if it can break down 3194, it's heading to at least 3158, basically 3150. So you know, we have a good opportunity to short tomorrow maybe. Next up, Home. Home gave back a ton today. I don't know what was the cause of it. It went from 21 to 17, and then it bounced and held 19. So I'd be looking to see how it reacts pre-market. If I see it bounce and get into this level and can't break, I'm going to short it and hold this. This thing has a lot of range. It could potentially, if we go back 1 year, I'm sorry guys, I know this video is long. If the low is 1589 for the year. So I have that mapped, and then I don't know why I have $15, but I bet, let me go back, bigger time frame, maybe. Yeah, that's what it is. So on a bigger time frame, this stock has been down at this low. Yeah, so I had this because this was an area of support, but it went on a run since from $10 all the way to 40. Wow. So so it looks like it has a gap to fill above, but maybe come back down. So I think all these stocks are so overextended that I wouldn't be surprised if this goes back down more tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe maybe it does nothing. Maybe it stays in this consolidation bullshit range, right? So if that's the case, just stay away. Next up, FMCC. It's in the same class as FNMA. They move in unison. So that this stock is also one of those stocks that when it moves, and this stock is at a high of 484, and then it freaking tanked. These are great shorts when you catch them when they're really overextended. But these things have a potential to move, so keep an eye out on them. And you see, I just mapped the pivots. That's it. That's what support and resistance. All right. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I just have it. Doesn't mean I'm gonna look at it. Honestly, I'm probably, if I'm trading, it's more than likely gonna either be AMD or CRON tomorrow. Those are the two that I'm gonna be watching, and maybe Home because it had so much range. So, and then CPRX, the way it looks like it wants to go higher. And the reason why I say that is because this is the daily, and it gave some back, but it's still holding. It's consolidating. So if we look on it a 5-day 5-minute time frame, it got to the 559 level, and it's kind of holding here. So maybe it gets back, but it may want to keep going higher. So I just put it on there just to see if it is gonna potentially break 559, keep going. We'll see. So we'll see what happens there. Otherwise, maybe it retests it and then just has a big red day. People just all start taking a profit. So we'll see. And last but not least, Yeti. Yeti is at its yearly high. I love those cups. Yeti, this is how I would play it. And Yeti's volatile, so be careful if you trade it. But I would be looking at either 30.89 or 33.20 to see when it gets to either level, near either level, how it's going to react. I mean, in theory, this is where it pivoted right here at 31.49. I have 31.50 here. So if it pulls back to 31.50, see how it responds. If it holds, take it long, right? If it breaks down, let it break down first and wait for the first pop and see if it gets rejected. If it gets rejected, then short it. Don't just short a breakdown, because sometimes it'll go like this and then rip on you. So just be careful about that. But it has some good range, so we'll see. But it looks like it wants to go higher. But with this market, who the fuck knows? None of these stocks should be going higher. That's what that's really where I'm at. My thesis is bearish on the market. So that's what I have on for tomorrow. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe.